On Keeper, the show you can't ignore. Ray and Kevin diving deep into all things galore. Comic book, movie, sci-fi, and action thrill. Reviewing new TV shows, we keep it real, real. Reminiscing the attitude era, wrestling at its peak. Nostalgia from the 80s and 90s, memories we seek. Pineapples for our rings, a unique touch. Geek culture in our blood, we love it so much. Geek Blue forever, we love it so much. Keeper, where we talk about it all, from superheroes to wrestlers. We stand tall, Ray and Kevin, the dynamic duo in sight. Keeper, shining bright, shining bright. Did you hear about Pluto? That's messed up, right? Keeper, taking you on a nostalgia flight. From movies to TV, we cover it all. Join us every week, we'll have a ball. Shuffle.
Hey, what's happening?
Not much. What's going on?
Doing good. Got a jam-packed show. We're going to jump right into it with a topic that we missed over the last 6-7 weeks when you were gone. But we need to bring it up because it's one of the most hilarious news stories that's come out in a while. And that is Lemon Pound Cake and Afro Man. Back in 2022, this was the scene on his cameras when he was away from home and his family were in another room, as a group of police officers went into his house, guns blazing, ready to arrest Afro Man, I think for drug charges and
drug trafficking and something. Yeah.
And while they were in there, they were flipping off the camera and saying just odd and rude shit to the camera, to the point where if you look in the middle of that picture, there's a lemon pound cake.
Yep.
That was in a container, as you can see, that was supposedly from his mother. And the police officers, I guess one of them looked at it and was talking about how delicious it looked or something to that effect. While this is all going on, he's not home. He's watching. He gets home later on, finds out that his family were in another room, taken at gunpoint. I think his young kids, his wife was in another room, and it pissed him off, rightfully so. They went to his house, knowing I believe they said on wrong information, and they even admitted that. But he was pissed. So what's the next thing you're going to do as a rapper? You're going to make an album.
Yep.
And on that album, you're going to name it Lemon Pound Cake, with the lemon pound cake that was being looked over by the police officers. And songs on this album are going to be dissing individual police officers and talking about this raid. With songs like The Police Raid, Lemon Pound Cake, Why You Did It, Disconnecting My Video Camera, and Will You Help Me Repair My Door, because they kicked in his door. That was the most notable one from that whole thing. Well, he was dissing every single person by name, and the officers on the camera. And I think he had music videos and he was putting on YouTube with the camera footage, stuff that he recorded on his own time, on his own camera, of them going into his house illegally. And he doubled down more and more. And eventually he was putting their names in, their actual like pictures on the website of what they looked like as the detectives. And they all sued him. The whole entire police department sued him and brought him to court. And that's where things got crazy and interesting. He's sued by all the sheriffs. I have for $4 million. They see a rich guy and say, well, let's see if we can take him for some money. Claiming that they had tremendous pain for defamation of character, all this and that. Talking about, well, he released an album later on of all the songs, but it was all YouTube videos. And this is the album that came out, Freedom of Speech. And of course, he's wearing the red, white, and blue jumpsuit, and he wore that to court.
Yep.
And the songs on the album were talking individually about the police officers in this case that was going on. Like Bataram him, the police whistleblower. That's the one, if you ever hear him, he's talking shit about the whole entire police department. But then it goes even further into individuals. Randy Walters is a son of a bitch is one of the tracks. Brian Newland is a flag. Sean Grooming grooms. David Russell likes black booty. Deputy Dumbo Duck, douche dynasty, fuckboy, Fidel Castro, Uncle Jackass Jesse, ZZ Top Cop, Osama bin stealing my clothes. That's a whole track. Don't let Kenny Dick up. Don't let Kenny Dick fuck up Adams County. Run the stop sign. Wreck It Randy. We're not required to do it. To do that, Walters. Will you stop sending dick pics to William Newton? But the most notable one of this is Lickum Low Lisa. And this is the one that played in court, and they took this woman. She was a police officer named Lisa, and pretty much said that she was looking at his wife during the raid and wanted to have lesbian sex with her. And that was the basis of this. And they brought her on to the stand. I think I have a picture of it here. Yeah, they brought her onto the stand and they showed the video to her, and she was crying the whole time. And the lawyer for the other side, the attorney, asked, you saw how upset she was getting when she was answering your lawyer's questions about how this had affected her, right? You knew she was upset, but Afro Man says, just like she knew I was upset when she was standing in front of my kids with an AR-15 with a hand around the trigger ready to shoot. He has every right to be pissed about this.
Yeah, no shit.
Every right. Well, between all the videos that were played in court, this whole entire thing was on television. So you can see that you can go on YouTube, find clips. I can't play them on here because I think the songs unbelievably are copyright. So I can't play them. But Lickum Low Lisa, he disses her about doing he bashes everybody. It's hilarious videos. He's in his right to defend himself, defend his family. And he won the lawsuit. His lawyers actually got him off of this case, and he didn't have to pay anything. He had a victory lap at the end and everything. And Afroman has had one hit song. It wasn't really even a big hit, but it came out during Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back was a music video. Kevin Smith and Jay was in there. But this is his notoriety right now, is bashing police officers wherever he's from. I don't even know what state he's from, but Georgia.
He's from California, but now he lives in Ohio. This all happened in Ohio.
Ohio, yeah, I couldn't remember. But yeah, crazy story. Go on YouTube if you want to see these videos because they're hilarious. He has full music videos talking about individual cops and all the stuff that was going on when they broke into his house. It's hilarious. So, yeah, go back and watch those on YouTube. Well, now that we got that out, let's talk about what we watched this week. Number one, Daredevil Born Again. Show is fantastic. This episode had a character die who has been from the very beginning of Daredevil. Spoilers for the next 20 seconds. You don't want to know. Shut this off. But Wilson Fisk's wife Vanessa passed away.
Yes,
got murdered. In the end of the last episode, she gets stabbed in the head and she succumbs to those injuries. And at the very end, you see Vincent D'Onofrio's acting at his best. I just brought it up last week when I watched Full Metal Jacket, how great of an actor he is, and this definitely proves his range because he's been a brooding, menacing villain this whole entire series from Netflix to here. And his weakest point is when his wife dies. And that's going to have repercussions for anybody who crosses his path from this point forward. And I feel that Daredevil and especially Bullseye are not going to be long in this world because of that.
Yeah, good luck, Bullseye.
Yeah, that was episode 6. We got 2 more episodes. We'll talk about the penultimate episode next week. The Boys also on a stride, great show. Yep. Last season, this brand new poster came out this week for this week's episode, because in this episode, Homelander, if you know the show, is obsessed with breast milk, and he goes to a NICU, and he gets all the breast milk out of the NICU and he bathes in it. And of course, this is the poster that they came out with this week. Show is great. We're going to be seeing more deaths of major characters. We already saw one in the beginning of the season. But setting up some crazy shit going on with Homelander, his son, big huge showdown with him and Butcher at the end. So it's a great show.
Way better than last season.
Way better than last season already.
Actually,
so
season 3 and 4 were not very good to me. From what I remember of those, like they had very little rewatch value, but the season's been really good so far.
Yeah, very good. DTF St. Louis. Going to briefly bring this up because the series ended. It is a limited series. Starring David Harbour, Jason Bateman, Linda Cardellini. The series is a murder mystery slash just a mystery overall. Human interaction. It's just a crazy show. Only like 7 episodes. Worth watching. It's a good show. Not the best show I've ever seen, but it's good. Acting is great. Not a lot of humor in it. Some humor, some funny moments, but overall, great show on HBO. All the episodes are on there now. Just wanted to briefly bring that up. And we had a premiere. Speaking of HBO, coming back after 4 years, Euphoria season 3, with one missing,
very, very missed person in the show.
Angus Cloud, who was Fez in this show, Fezco, was the best part. And I kept watching clips all week leading up to the season premiere. And it just reminded me of how great that relationship with Lexi was going to be, and what it was building to. And then he was taken. He had died of a drug overdose a couple of years ago now. But they found the kid. They found him in the streets of New York. He wasn't an actor. They were casting for a show on HBO. They saw him wandering the streets of New York City, and they hired him. They talked him into becoming a part of the show and auditioning, and he won the audition. Ended up being part of the show. He's had drug issues, and at the time, he had a drug overdose, similar to Mac Miller, similar to other kids younger in life. That fentanyl and all that stuff is prominent, unfortunately, in the United States. But very much missing from the series, and he was the best part. And this show picks up 5 years later. And it's the characters that we like in the first 2 seasons of Euphoria, but we just don't know. We don't like the way the show kind of went. The only other thing I will say, I think this is Zendaya's probably one of her better acting prowesses.
By far. Yeah.
The way that she turns her character in this show, especially I think the last episode or last couple episodes of season 2.
Yeah, last season she was great. She was fantastic.
Yeah, she just turned on her whole family, and they did try to do an intervention on her, and she just said no, fuck you.
Yep.
Overall, I'm going to continue watching it. I think it'll probably be the one and only season, last season. I don't think they're going to continue after this, because every single person on this show is a superstar right now. They're going to have to pay him for a season 4, and I don't think that's going to happen, especially the cast the way it is. Jacob Elordi is probably going to be the next huge Hollywood star, because everybody's fan casting and everything. So I don't see it going past this season, but we'll continue watching all 8 episodes, and we'll talk, or at least I will, and we'll see. Another documentary, I hope you had a chance to watch it, the Shawn Michaels documentary.
It took Bret Hart about 18 seconds to say Shawn Michaels is a piece of shit.
18 seconds. 18 seconds in. This is a WWE produced, so you already know it's edited down heavily. Produced documentary on the rise of Shawn Michaels, retirement of Shawn Michaels, and then eventually going into NXT, becoming the producer of NXT, their developmental program to get new superstars to come in and be in the big leagues on Raw and SmackDown. But the whole trajectory of his career, kind of crazy. Drugs, huge part of the 90s. He's lucky he survived, because a lot of his friends and peers did not. And he was just as heavy into that stuff as well. Here, I think what helped him was being off the road in 98. And and not continuing being on the road, and then finding faith. Of course, he definitely says that helped him tremendously.
Yep.
And being born again,
basically becoming a family man is what stopped him from
that too
doing drugs. Mainly, his wife was obviously a former cheerleader with the Nitro Girls.
Girl. Nitro Girl. Yeah.
And it was pretty bad when they were first together. So she pretty much, especially once they started having kids, was like, you can't do this. Like, your body's fucked up, but like, you can't do this.
No. But yeah, documentary is all about that. And coming back, he came back in 2002, wrestled Triple H, and he did so well, and it was reviewed so well that he ended up becoming full-time until like 2009, 2010, where he actually retired at WrestleMania. But that was that whole WrestleMania lineup at the end was fantastic. Some of the best matches at WrestleMania ever.
That was when
between Undertaker and Ric Flair.
The Undertaker was having literally the best match at WrestleMania for like 4 or 5 years in a row.
Yeah,
which is insane because it's the Undertaker and he's not
20 years,
but
20 years into his career too,
especially working with guys like Flair and Michaels. Yeah.
But yeah, it's on Peacock right now, about an hour and a half. If you're in WrestleMania mode, kind of like I am, and Kevin this may be the documentary for you, especially if you love nostalgia wrestling back in the 90s. Shawn Michaels was definitely an asshole, and Bret Hart let that be known. And he was interviewed.
I wonder who he hates more, him or Goldberg.
Oh, he hates Goldberg because Goldberg ended his career.
Yeah,
Goldberg
true.
Gave him a stroke.
I don't know who he would hate more.
It seems like him and Sean are on really good terms right now.
Yeah.
Except for I mean, he bashes anybody. Whether he's friends or not with him, he'll still bash.
That's true.
So it doesn't matter.
That's true.
So yeah, this is on Peacock if you want to watch it, called The Heartbreak Kid Becoming Shawn Michaels. So yeah, watch that. Speaking of wrestling, we are in WrestleMania season, and this weekend is WrestleMania. First thing we're going to talk about, number one is 2 nights, but the Hall of Fame is tonight. And the immortal moment this year is Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant. For some reason, I thought this was last year and the year before, but it was WrestleMania 13 was the first one they did. I think the Austin
Steve Austin
and
Bret
Bret.
Hart,
Yeah. So this is obviously one of the biggest moments of wrestling, so that's understandable why it's the moment this year. But we got 2 nights of WrestleMania, Saturday night and Sunday. You got the both cards right here for the event. First night, tomorrow night, we got Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton with Pat McAfee, which is not getting a lot of great reviews from the internet wrestling community right now.
This whole first night, the whole first night looks like shit, to be honest.
Yeah, because even the Seth Rollins and Gunther match kind of feels like it was thrown in there because Gunther's been known, especially in the last 6 months, to be a career killer. But why is he facing Rollins? What's that have to do with that whole storyline that they've been setting?
Right.
And AJ Lee coming back for the first time in a long time. A six-man tag match, but the tag match the next night is even better. Are my slides loading on your side? They keep spinning.
I'm looking at
I don't know.
They're loaded now.
Okay, yeah, they just keep spinning. But the Sunday night main event is headlined by CM Punk and Roman Reigns. A match that's been heavily hyped ever since CM Punk came back. And we got the Demon, Finn Balor, returning to fight Dominic Mysterio. Cannot wait for that match. We got Brock Lesnar versus Obafemi. Cannot wait for that match. We got a ladder match for the Intercontinental title with McKenna, Dragon Lee, Penta, Evans, Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio still wrestling. Rusev. Rey Mysterio was in the WCW game 30 years ago. The very first WCW N64 game, and he's still wrestling to this day. Trick Williams versus Sami Reigns, Rhea Ripley. So yeah, the Sunday card is just bonkers compared to the Saturday card. Saturday, it's like the old days, SmackDown versus Raw, where Raw was always the better show. We know Sunday is going to be the better pay-per-view this
by
week.
far. Yeah, by far.
This is going to be on ESPN. That's their new home for pay-per-views. And I believe the first hour on ESPN is going to be opening with Brock Lesnar and Obafemi in the ladder match. So you're going to be able to see those for free if you have just actual ESPN like on your cable network. That's on Sunday night, and the same goes for Saturday night is Drew McIntyre versus Jacob Fatu, and then the six-man tag match also free if you want to watch on ESPN2 the first night. So, but the ESPN app is where you can watch the whole entire thing. And we will talk about all of the matches and everything that happens, any returns, anything that happens. Big rumor. We're going to talk about it in a little bit, but The Rock is in Las Vegas. Is he going to show up?
So is Trump.
Yes. Well, it could happen. Trump's a Hall of Famer, so it could happen. But the big thing we're going to talk about this week is a movie that we both love, a movie that we grew up on, that is in our top 5 movies of all time. I'm not sure where it's placed in your list, but it's probably like within the top 3 of mine.
It's 4th. Actually, no, 3rd. I put it above Fight Club. It's Shawshank, Goodfellas, Back to the Future. Fight Club is my top 4.
And it's funny, this movie's been out for over 40 years now, and it still holds up, even with the way it looks, even with everything. And that movie is Back to the Future. Came out in 1985, so 41 years ago now. And it all started from these 4 movies: Used Cars, 1941, I Want to Hold Your Hand, and Romancing the Stone. Now you're wondering, why the fuck do all these movies, what do they have in common? Well, they have something in common, and that's Bob Gale, Steven Spielberg, and Robert Zemeckis. I Want to Hold Your Hand is the first movie done by Robert Zemeckis. It's about a group of kids going to see the Ed Sullivan Show when the Beatles came to America. That was his very first debut film, and Steven Spielberg, in order to get this movie made, Steven Spielberg offered that if Robert Zemeckis did a horrible job, he would take over the directing duties of the movie. That's where their friendship kind of started. And then 1941, Bob Gale and Robert Zemeckis wrote that movie for Spielberg. He directed it, notably known to be one of Spielberg's worst movies. But they did write it. And then the first movie where Robert Zemeckis directed, Bob Gale produced, and Spielberg produced was Used Cars, starring Kurt Russell. This came out a couple of years before Back to the Future. And Romancing the Stone. Those were all not so, they weren't big hits, but Romancing the Stone was a huge hit, which gave Zemeckis the clout to actually make Back to the Future, and gave the studios, when they were trying to shop it around, the idea that he could direct this big, huge idea of a movie. The original idea, the original pitch for Back to the Future was rejected by over 49 times. And notably because of the incest scene in Back to the Future, of him meeting his mother in the past and his mother falling in love with him, Disney passed on it immediately. Other studios rejected the idea outright. And because of the success of Romancing the Stone, because of having Spielberg attached to be executive producer on this, they eventually went to Universal Studios and they greenlit to give them this project. The lead of Universal Studios wanted to call the movie Spaceman from Pluto. He hated Back to the Future. He wanted to call it. He was dead on it. And Spielberg's like, "Oh, that's hilarious. That's cute. We love that. Ha 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 ha." And nothing was ever said again. And they kept the name Back to the Future, and the rest is history. Casting process for this movie took a couple of years, and we'll get into the big ones right here. Biff Tannen, the bully of 1955, the bully of 1985, older, auditioned for that role. Peter DeLuise, Dom DeLuise's son. He was also in Third Rock from the Sun. Actor Tim Robbins and Billy Zane, who ended up becoming one of the gang members of Biff's gang. Marty McFly, the lead of this series. C. Thomas Howell. These are all like Brat Pack kids at the time. C. Thomas Howell. John Cryer, Ben Stiller. He wasn't really big at the time. Nobody knew who he was. Just a son of a couple of actors. John Cusack, Johnny Depp, Ralph Macchio, Charlie Sheen, Robert Downey Jr. So you see, it's all Brat Pack stuff. Doc Brown, the crazy smart scientist of this movie. Jeff Goldblum, John Lithgow, Robin Williams, Dudley Moore, John Cleese, Mandy Patinkin, Gene Hackman, James Wood. You kind of see what they're going with. They're going with an older, more kind of has a comedic side to them, can have a lot of dramatic side to them. You kind of see what they're going, especially with Robin Williams. I think John Lithgow out of all of those would have been great, but I can't see it.
Jeff Goldblum. Have you ever seen The Fly?
And Jeff Goldblum. I have not. It's on my list. It's on my list for October.
We'll do that in October. Because I watch that every October. When I saw him in The Fly, I was like, okay, yeah, he would have been awesome, Doc Brown, because that was filmed, I think, either the year before or it released the year after. It was like around the same time. He would have been fucking outstanding, but it would have been completely different. And I think they nailed it with who they got, obviously.
That's the thing. With this casting, this movie would have been different all around. And that proves the Jennifer character. The original casting, well, number one, Kira Sedgwick, the wife of Kevin Bacon, auditioned. The original casting of Jennifer, the love interest to Marty McFly, was Melora Hardin. If you've ever seen The Office, she plays Jan. She's the kind of the boss of everybody in the office. Melora Hardin was cast as Jennifer to another Brat Pack member who ended up becoming Marty McFly, and that's Eric Stoltz. Eric Stoltz was on set for 5 weeks. Bob Gale and Robert Zemeckis kept thinking, oh, this is so awkward. He doesn't really have any comedic chops. It's not funny. And they were looking at the dailies. They went back and they watched a whole bunch of the footage they shot, and they showed it to Spielberg, and was like, we gotta fire him. He's not good. And the original idea, he didn't bring any humor. The original idea for auditioning was bringing in Michael J. Fox to become Marty McFly. They had that idea from the very beginning. But with Family Ties, he had just filmed Teen Wolf. And with Family Ties, which is a huge show at the time, got gangbuster ratings. The producers of that show would not allow him to be on set and allow him to do that because they thought it was going to take away from their show. Rightfully so, because the schedule was going to be crazy. The producer, Spielberg, everybody decided to fire Eric Stoltz after 5 weeks. It was horrible. And asked the producers of Family Ties if Michael J. Fox could come on. And it's like, as long as Family Ties becomes the number one priority, Back to the Future is the number two priority, then sure. And they released him from the contract to be able to do that. And his schedule, he was worked from like 10 a.m. to 5 a.m. on Family Ties. PM, sorry. And then an hour later, he'd end up on the set on Universal lot for Back to the Future until 4 a.m., 6 to 4. Crazy schedule. Go back home and repeat that for the whole entire summer or whenever they were recording this movie. Crazy schedule. Michael J. Fox says it was crazy how he even attempted to do that, but it worked. And this movie happened, and something happened with this movie. I don't think anybody expected it to be the one of the best, number one best movies of all time, but it just shows the heart of this character of bringing the little slight humor that this character needed, and he was perfect for that role. Crispin Glover. We'll talk about the cast of this movie. Crispin Glover plays George McFly, who is the father of Marty, and notably known now as a crazy man. Yeah, does a lot of weird shit, does a lot of weird things. He's very artistic. By the way, that's Eric Stoltz. Those are all the scenes that were cut from the movie. Of familiar scenes, you've seen the movie, you know these scenes, but with Eric Stoltz in the place, it's very odd. It's like a what if episode of Marvel. Like, wow, Eric Stoltz is just so weird. He doesn't look like Marty, but he's Marty.
And if you've seen The Flash, then you know they make jokes about that in the alternate timeline.
They do. Yep. But yeah, now we'll get into the cast. I forgot I had that photo there. Crispin Glover, weirdo. George McFly, the father. That's Robert Zemeckis, Bob Gale, and Michael J. Fox there. Crispin Glover, weirdo. Leah Thompson played Lorraine, his mother. He goes back in time. Lorraine falls in love with who she thinks his name is Calvin Klein. He's wearing Calvin Klein underwear when she finds him and falls out of the tree. Claudia Wells was Jennifer. She was recast as Jennifer when Michael J. Fox took over. She was originally supposed to be Jennifer, and she couldn't do it because she had scheduling conflicts. And when everything happened with Eric Stoltz, she was able to jump into the role, and they recast her too. Tom Wilson as Biff Tannen. One of the best bullies ever on screen. Brilliant casting. Hasn't done too much. He's done a few comedies here and there, but he's just kind of Biff. That's what he's going to be for the rest of his life. He knows that. He jokes about it.
He has that song. If you want, you can check out the song on YouTube.
Yeah, it's on YouTube. James Tolkien as Principal Strickland. We just talked about it last week. That's the whole reason this came up, is because he passed. R.I.P. to him. One of the best principals, one of the best menacing principals ever on movies, television, anything. Christopher Lloyd cast as Dr. Emmett Brown. Perfect casting. The way he turned this role, it's an iconic role. Being like Albert Einstein, Tesla, all those mixed into one. A couple of notable additions to the cast. Mark McClure as Jimmy Olsen in Superman. He played Marty's brother. Wendy Jo Sperber, as she was Linda McFly. She was his sister. In the past, Jason Hervey, if you ever seen Wonder Years, he played Uncle Milton. He played Lorraine's little brother. He wore the Daniel Boone hat. The
Davy Crockett. The Davy Crockett hat.
Davy Crockett, yeah, that was big at the time. But the big star of this movie, bigger than the cast, is the motherfucking DeLorean, the time machine, the time travel of everything. The original idea for this was a refrigerator in the bed of a truck. More than 20 years later, Spielberg and George Lucas used this idea during the refrigerator scene in Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. When Indiana Jones goes in the refrigerator in the beginning of that, the nuclear bomb goes off. The original idea for this, the time machine, was going to be a refrigerator, and they decided it'd be much cooler if it was a car. One of the most coolest looking car in the early 80s was the DeLorean. Noticeably, though, the car was a joke amongst everybody because it was horrible. It was always falling apart, was never running correctly, wouldn't start. So the choice of using the DeLorean was a bit of a joke amongst producers. DeLorean, of course, at the time, and there's a documentary about it too. He went into bankruptcy. There's cocaine involved, and a whole bunch of stuff involved. He got arrested for drug charges. And the company soon declared bankruptcy after that. That's why you don't see any more DeLorean cars. John DeLorean was a fan of this movie. He was a fan because it made his car so popular, super popular. Probably the most popular car ever.
It's huge now. Restoring DeLoreans is like a thing in the last 20 years.
It's a hobby.
Yep.
John DeLorean ended up writing producer Bob Gale, and thanked him for making the DeLorean as famous as it is. It's notably known for the time machine created with the flux capacitor. You have to get the thing up to 1.21 gigawatts. You have to go up to 88 miles per hour to make it go fast in order to go through time. All of that stuff was created for this movie. And even though time travel, we know it's not real, the way the science is built in this, it just seems like it works. It just seems, that seems logical to me. And that's why this movie works. It just seems right, even though it's not possible. Right. ILM did all the special effects for this. Of course, they're coming right out of Star Wars, right out of Indiana Jones, all the Lucasfilm stuff and everything else. And this is their big project on top of that. And they become big after that, too, with other things. The biggest part of this movie and the other two movies, for a matter of fact, is a continuity. And how they were able to go 1955 and 1985, and anything that they affected in 1955 would change in 1985, so on and so forth. And it all actually mattered. It all worked on every level. Like the clock tower, the lightning, that was a big plot point of this, where the clock tower was struck by lightning in 1955. And it obviously stopped the clock. So in 1985, they're trying to get the clock tower to work again. And that's right there, the scene there. And of course, that's a plot point at the end of the movie where they're trying to go back in time. They know the exact pinpoint of time and when lightning's going to hit the clock tower. So that's where they get the 1.21 gigawatts to get Marty to go back to the future. Elaine and George and the Calvin Klein of it all. The past affecting the future. And just the whole overall aesthetic of this movie. 1955 comes to life. You see product placement with Texaco, Coke, Pepsi of the time. It's modern of 1985, but they brought the artwork and everything back from 1985 into 1955. The clothing, the authenticity that brings just a sense of realism for the whole entire movie. And Marty invents the skateboard in this movie. He takes a scooter that a girl is riding and rips the handlebars off and rides it like a skateboard. Changing the past, it ends up changing Marty's future. That's a whole huge plot point towards the end of the movies. Marty's family at the end becomes successful. George and Lorraine are not in a loveless marriage, but they are down and out lower middle class.
She's
And
drinking
when Marty
vodka
comes
tonic
back,
at like fucking 5 p.m. during dinner.
right, and when Marty comes back to the future at the end of the movie, they are successful. George is a author who has multiple books that have become popular, and they have this huge, nice house. And Biff also changes because of what happens in the past, and because George stood up for himself. Biff kind of cowers to George McFly at the end of the movie. The most notable scene of this, the one that I learned when I started really obsessing about this movie, was the Twin Pines Mall sign turned into the Lone Pines Mall in the beginning of the time when Marty goes back to the future or back to the past. He goes where the mall is placed. He goes to the time there, and there's a farm in 1955 with 2 trees. Well, Marty hits one and knocks it over, so now there's only one. So when the mall becomes a mall, 30 years later, it's called the Lone Pine Mall, which is a great nod to what happened. That's what I mean about continuity in this movie. It just matters. The sound done by Alan Silvestri, who did Avengers, Roger Rabbit, Forrest Gump. He's worked closely with Robert Zemeckis.
Yeah.
And also coming into the soundtrack, had a role in this movie, was Huey Lewis, huge at the time with music, and did the soundtrack, did a couple of songs for the soundtrack, The Power of Love and Back in Time. I wish we could play them, but we're on YouTube. We can't. Iconic songs, some of the best, 2 of the best songs ever on a soundtrack.
Was Back in Time the one where because they were originally supposed to do the Ghostbusters theme, and they didn't. I think Back in Time is the one where they actually use the same guitar riff from their original Ghostbusters theme. It was one of those songs, I think it was Back in Time. I think.
I didn't have that in here, but that's interesting.
That could be a rumor, but yeah, they were originally supposed to do the Ghostbusters theme, and I think Back in Time is the one where they use the same guitar riff.
Huh. Yeah, I'm going to dive deeper into that. That seems interesting. And the visuals for this movie, as far as posters are concerned, and the marketing, done by Drew Struzan. We just talked about him last year. Drew Struzan did all the movie posters in a realistic way. The posters on the left there are all the ones that he did before. And of course, the one on the right there is the iconic one that is probably one of the best posters ever created, I would say. All done freehand. He didn't have anybody pose. I will say that when Michael J. Fox and Christopher Lloyd saw this, when 2 and 3 happened, Back to the Future Part 2 and Part 3, they actually offered Drew Struzan to pose for those posters. So that's actually them, and he did a lifelike pose and creation of those posters with them in his studio, standing there recreating the scene. They loved this poster so much, and just made sense. And of course, I think out of the trilogy, it just works 1, 2, and 3 lined up in a row together. Just work. Great art. And a couple of facts about the movie. Eddie Van Halen performed the Darth Vader guitar solo when he's over George McFly. The band Van Halen refused to do it, so Eddie Van Halen, pretty much Van Halen, the lead guitarist, one of the best guitarists ever created on God's earth, went in as a solo artist and did the solo by himself with a tape that said, I think, Van Halen on the side of it, or Eddie Van Halen on the side of it. The Johnny B. Good sequence, Michael J. Fox learned and executed the guitar mannerisms of the Who's Pete Townsend, Jimi Hendrix, Eddie Van Halen, and Chuck Berry. Did all those, turned it into one great epic performance of the Enchantment Under the Sea dance at the end. In earlier drafts, Doc Brown had a pet chimpanzee named Shemp, and the dog ended up becoming a dog named Einstein. And Ford, the car dealer, the car maker, offered to replace the always failing DeLorean with a popular Mustang at the time. I don't think that would have hit as hard as the DeLorean did, just because of the wings, the wing doors, and everything.
The suicide doors, or whatever they're called. Yeah. But the most importantly, for the second one, the DeLorean just worked way better. As we'll get into that next week. Into the future, I think the DeLorean it's way more futuristic. Like, if Ford were to do that, they would probably have to design a brand new Mustang for the movie to make it more futuristic, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. By the way, we're probably not doing 2 next week because the notes on these are crazy.
Yeah.
We'll hold off on 2 for a while.
Okay.
July 3rd, 1985, the movie came out. Box office juggernaut, but slow box office. It was one of the slowest movies to ever get to 200 million, I think, something like that. But the word of mouth for this movie, everybody loved it. Re-releases in 2010, 2015, and 2025 brought the current total, worldwide total, to $398 million. So huge moneymaker for Universal Studios. Ronald Reagan, the actor, loved the movie so much. Notably, that line from Doc Brown. It gave it national recognition. So everybody loved this movie. Everybody wanted to see this movie. It was only made on $19 million budget, and it definitely doesn't show. It's funny. It's lower budget. It's for the time, not so much, but for now it is. It just looks like a fantastic movie. So I don't know. For the time, I think it's kind of high, but. The legacy of this movie is the time travel that just makes sense, even though it's not real. It makes sense. And the meaningful friendships, relationships, family relationships, and the dynamics that this movie creates, from his parents falling in love to Marty falling in love with Jennifer and trying to go back to the future to see her. Just everything, even the sequels pick that up too. And also the legacy of this movie are the sequels. There's 2 sequels, an animated series, video game, endless merchandise up the wazoo, an epic theme park ride at Universal Studios that has since closed down, and it's just, there's so much to this movie, so much to love about this franchise, and it's one of the only movies that you could say, well, Jesus, this could continue. Time is infinite. There's so many timelines. You can go back to the dinosaurs. You can go back to the gangster period of the 1920s and 30s. So much you can explore. Robert Zemeckis and Bob Gale own this franchise outright. They own every part of it, and refuse to reboot or continue the story on film. Anyway.
You can get the comics, which I read this week, which are fantastic because they do different adventures, and of course the cartoon show and the video game. The video game was a lot of fun. It was one of those point and clicks though, but it was a cool story. You can actually just watch it. It's like a 2.5 hour like fucking YouTube video of just the cutscenes. It's really good.
But they get pushed constantly by fans, especially even the studios pushing them to do a sequel. But they had their foot in the sand, like, we're not doing it.
I wonder how things would have been if Michael J. Fox didn't get sick. I'm sure that's part of the reason is that they probably decided once he got sick that they weren't going to go back and do more.
And that's what Bob Gale says. Bob Gale's asked this. He's doing interviews for the musical right now. He's doing interviews everywhere. And he's asked that all the time. And that's the one thing he does bring up is that because Michael J. Fox is sick, how are we going to do a Back to the Future without Michael J. Fox being at 100%? That's basically his excuse.
And I mean, now Doc Brown's 82 years old, so.
Plus the trilogy is a perfect trilogy, perfect ending to the story. Why try to fuck that up with a 4th movie?
Yeah, here's like
in one of the interviews, he's recently said he's talked about Indiana Jones being the reason why he hasn't done a 4th movie. So rightfully so, Crystal Skull. So yeah, that's Back to the Future. One of our favorite movies. Top 3 for me. I'm not sure where I place it. But Star Wars is up there too. Probably Empire, I guess. I don't know. I really had to think that over. That's a hard list for me. But we will continue this eventually. We needed to get this movie out of the way, especially when James Tolkien died last week. We need to get this movie out of the way because it means a lot to both of us. And I visually, I love 2 more. Story-wise, I love this more. But visually, what 2 did, Back to the Future Part 2 did to sci-fi and movies in general, a lot of movies now have kind of taken
growing up
and run with it.
Growing up, I liked 2 the most because it was cool because of the future, because we hadn't gotten there yet. But as I've gotten older, I actually really appreciate one's always gonna be my favorite. Like 1 was always but between 2 and 3, I always liked 2 growing up. But I really like 3 now as I'm older. And I'm into westerns and stuff like that now. So
a lot of older people love 3. A lot of older people, like if they were in their 40s in 1985, they loved 3. Just because of the Western aspect of everything. But yeah, that's Back to the Future. Great fucking movie. If you've never seen Back to the Future, get out from under the rock you're in and watch it tonight. It's a fantastic movie. I watch it at least 3 times a year. At least 3 times a year. Sometimes I just have that sense like I need to see Back to the Future tonight. There's not too many movies in my catalog that I go back to like that. And this is definitely one.
There's zero fat on the movie too. Nothing you really trim or add to it.
The first one is perfect. Yeah,
it's almost the perfectly paced movie. One of the most perfectly paced movies of all time. There is no fat on that hog. But yeah, great movie. Obviously, 5 out of 5 for both of us.
Oh, 5 out of 5. Yeah. 17,000 out of 5 for me.
Yeah,
it's the best. Yeah, it's on top. It's upper echelon. It's top tier. And I would love to see something continue. Just because I know time travel, you could go anywhere with that.
It's infinite.
It's with as many reboots and remakes. If anything, they have limits of where they can go. This you can go anywhere. And I think that's why everybody wants to see a sequel so bad to this series, but it just won't happen unless a story just hits them, which I don't think it's going to happen. When you hear them, Bob Gale and Robert Zemeckis talk about it, they are dead set against it. They do not want to see this continue at all. So, that's Back to the Future, and Kevin has a movie to review. I forgot to put it in the notes. I saw you put it down. I'm glad you did because I want to hear your review.
I wanted to give you a little break for the news, so I saw Lee Cronin's The Mummy. Which a lot of people, they've done a terrible job marketing it. So I shout out to Spitball Media Podcast because they always cover the horror movies that nobody ever talks about, whether it's streaming or in theaters. And I decided to go check that out instead of Mario. And I liked it. It's a new kind of take on the zombie movie. It's the zombie in question is kind of possessed type deal, which I like. I haven't seen a lot of mummy movies, but like most of the ones that like, there's been a lot of mummy movies. It seems like every time Hollywood tries to make this PG-13 more of an action sci-fi-ish kind of comedy, like we saw with the Brendan Fraser mummy movies. And I never actually saw the Tom Cruise one, but that's like another Hollywood-fied, like,
you never saw that either.
Try to take on the old story. But this one was good. I'm not going to get into any spoilers, obviously. But it's about a family, and the father is a journalist, and they're working in Cairo. And their 8 or 9-year-old, I think she's 9-year-old daughter goes missing. And 8 years later, she's found in a sarcophagus, wrapped up in like old Egyptian like writing, like mummified type stuff. And they call the parents, and the parents pick her up, and they bring her back into this house with now her brother's like 15 years old now, who's the younger brother in earlier in the movie. And the wife was pregnant. So there's also like an 8-year-old daughter involved, and just mayhem kind of breaks loose.
This is all in the trailer too.
I never saw the trailer. So like the one trailer I saw was literally like what happened to Katie, and that's all they showed. So it's kind of a mystery as to how she got mummified, and there's the police officer in Cairo who's working on the case and communicating with the father back and forth. The atmosphere was really cool. The sound design was really good. It was shot very well. Lee Cronin's very good at that. It's not nearly on par with like his Evil Dead movie, which I loved, Evil Dead Rise. But still pretty good. Like I think give it a 3.5. Would definitely recommend it. It'll probably be online in about 2 weeks with the way things are going. But yeah, it was pretty good. It was enjoyable. Cool. It was nice because, I don't get to see a lot of horror in theaters. A lot of times they're in theaters for like a week or two, and then they're streaming like 2 months later or whatever, a few weeks later. So, but yeah, 3.5 out of 5.
Cool. Yeah, I plan on watching that when it comes out. The big thing that we're going to be talking about this week, Back to the Future was the big thing. The second big thing, which is equally as exhausting, I had a lot of fun cataloging CinemaCon this week. And CinemaCon did happen in Las Vegas. And it's where all the movie theater owners convey. Oh, by the way, if you're watching Back to the Future, that's a picture of all the behind the scenes of Back to the Future. I probably had that picture there. CinemaCon is where all of the movie theater owners come together and kind of get shellacked by all of the studios saying this is how great our movies are going to be and this is how much money you're going to make in the movie theater business this year. So there's no TV news. It's all movie theater news. All, and everybody, when the studio is going on to the stage, they're talking about how movie theaters are not dying, and they're going to be putting 100% of their time into it, and this and that and so forth. So we'll get into it. Started on Monday, ended yesterday, and on Monday, we got a new trailer for our new movie. I don't think it went online, but called "Everybody Wants to Fuck." It stars Taron Egerton. We've seen. If you've seen Kingsman, you know him. It's a thriller, and it follows a man who discovers that every woman is stalking him and wants to fuck him. It's one of those types of movies. That's the first look there. Escape from New York. It was announced a reboot, Paddington 4. And then Sony Pictures later in the evening had their panel. Sony Pictures started off with a first look of, first of all, Tim Rothman, who's a CEO, went on stage, talked about getting rid of the endless advertising in movie theaters and bring more people in. Yeah, we've been saying that for years.
Yep.
It's over 30 minutes of ads now before you get in. It's not just trailers, it's ads too. And it's just, why would you want to do that when you can watch it at home ad free? That's kind of their their competition is home viewing. You should make it easier and a little bit more accessible for people that want to go to the theaters and not have to sit in the theater for a half hour, 40 minutes before the movie even starts to enjoy a movie. But he's the first one that spoke out about it. First movie they talked about, one of the biggest movies probably of this year is going to be Spider-Man Brand New Day. They released some extended footage from the trailer there that did not leak online, but they did release the new posters, which did not come out when the trailer came out a couple weeks ago. So we got new posters for the movie. It's reminiscent. The one on the right is reminiscent of the Spider-Man 2 poster. From Sam Raimi back in the day with MJ in the lens of Spider-Man. And the other one has the hand, which is going to play a huge part in that movie. We got a brand new trailer. This one did go out online for Insidious Out of the Further. I've only seen the first movie. I liked it. This is the 6th movie of the franchise, so I probably will get there eventually. It comes out in August. And they announced some other movies. They announced some new movies based on video games. An R-rated animated Bloodborne movie going to be in development, and Justin Lin is doing the Helldivers game, and Jason Momoa is going to star in that, and of course the Zach Kreger Resident Evil. They had a trailer there. Everybody says it looks awesome. So Resident Evil getting rebooted, and it's going to be more closer to the games, I believe, is what Kreger said. He's a huge fan of the games. Legend of Zelda has wrapped filming. They announced that there. And Sony announced that Jumanji 3, the title is going to be called Jumanji Open World. And it's where all the Jumanji people that they play in the video games actually come into the world, the real world. So I've only watched, I think, the first.
I've only seen the first.
Part of this.
I've never seen the second.
Yeah, I don't know if I've seen the second of the reboot or not, but I'll probably on my list of things to watch. And the other thing that they brought up was Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse. Coming out in the theaters a little over a year from now, but Kingpin, Spider-Man Noir, Spider-Man Noir and Spider-Ham are going to be part of that story, coming back from the first film. This is, of course, the end of the trilogy, and these are some first looks of the movie here, so more first looks of the characters of the movie. And it's going to pick up right where the second movie left off. Obviously, that was the original plan. It's still going to happen. And then we get to Tuesday. The big reveal on Tuesday morning was the Godzilla Minus Zero information that was going to be the new trailer. And Godzilla is going to New York City. It's actually going to be going to other cities around the world. And it's going to be a continuation of the first movie, Godzilla Minus One. The same family is going to be involved in this. And Godzilla is bigger, stronger, and created by United States doing nuclear testing. So he's obviously bigger and stronger. And he's going to take over the whole entire world. So cannot wait for that. Runner, brand new movie starring Owen Wilson and Alan Ritchson, comes out September 11th. Trailer, it's Alan Ritchson kind of plays like a cab driver who's hired by Owen Wilson to drive him through the city. He has I believe, a liver or a kidney transplant, and those things go on the black market for like millions of dollars. So while they're in traffic, they get hijacked and they have to run away, and somebody's trying to steal this kidney to put on the black market. Trailer looked cool, interesting, nice action type of movie. Alan Richardson's definitely that type in that typecast right now. So, understandably, he's Reacher. Later on in the evening, Warner Brothers had their panel, and Warner Brothers, first of all, Warner Brothers New Line Animation, DC Studios, of course, big one we're going to talk about. But Mortal Kombat had a standee there. Mortal Kombat comes out just a few weeks from now. Cannot wait for that. They released the new poster for Coyote versus Acme coming out this summer. Cannot wait for that movie. It's overhyped. I'm hoping not. It's overhyped, but it just seems like it's overhyped just because it did get canceled, got brought back from the dead pretty much. But the Ocean's 11 prequel was announced, starring Bradley Cooper and Margot Robbie. It's gonna be set in 1962 during the Monaco Grand Prix. It's gonna be the parents of Danny Ocean, who was George Clooney. Yep. Comes out 2027. They announced the cast for the new Lord of the Rings movie, The Hunt for Gollum, directed by Andy Serkis, coming back to play Gollum, of course. Ian McKellen's going to play Gandalf. Kate Winslet's coming back to play coming in to play Marigold. Jamie Dornan, if you've seen 50 Shades of Grey, he is recast as Strider / Aragorn. Elijah Wood's coming back as Frodo, and Lee Pace is coming back as Theandral from the Hobbit movies. Cannot wait for that. Right. I don't know. I don't think anybody knows the timeline of that or what it's said. I think it's before he finds the ring or right after he finds the ring. I'm not really sure, but cannot wait. Tom Cruise went on stage to talk about his new film called Digger, which they're kind of promoting like the Leo movie that was out last summer. I can't remember the full title.
One Battle After Another.
Yeah, that one. Kind of saying it's a new one of those kind of movies that could be big in award season. But took a long time for them to make this movie. Says it's funny, humor. He's in the movie. He plays an elderly CEO who must fix a worldwide catastrophe that he caused. He has gray receding hair and a prosthetic nose in the movie. And I believe I have the picture of him there. They officially announced the Aunt Gladys prequel. Gladys is going to release on September 8th of 2028. Cannot wait for that. It's the prequel to Weapons. And Zach Kreger is directing a new film called The Flood for Warner Brothers. Not much information. Comes out in 2028. Also officially announced the Aegon's Quest movie is officially in the works. And we talked about that a few weeks ago, but it's official. It's going to be a movie. And what you say is probably better for the story because it's kind of a limited story to begin with. So
it'll be interesting. I wonder how much time they're going to spend in Essos and before they come over, because that to me would be the more interesting part. Because like I don't know, just kind of it's going to be cool though to see Balerion the Black Dread on screen because he's like 3 times bigger than any dragon that ever lived.
Right.
Viserys from House of the Dragon, Renee's father, was the last one to ride him when he was a child, and then the dragon died. So it'll be interesting to see Balerion.
How far is this movie going to dive into that? I'm wondering. Right. Yeah, I cannot wait. Anything with dragons, I can't wait. And Man of Tomorrow. They sent a little video. Nicholas Hoult, James Gunn, and David Cornsweet going to start filming next week. And says Cornsweet says we're trying to save the world with your sworn enemy. And Nicholas Hoult says a new villain and an unlikely alliance. So we know they're going after Brainiac in that movie. And Peter Safran says that they begin shooting next week, like I said. And then they played the first teaser for Clayface. It showed a lot of people are comparing it to the animated series episode of Clayface. And it shows Matt Haven disfigured in a hospital. Shots of Gotham City. Footage ends with his face falling off in the bathtub. Gonna be a horror film, horror body.
I can't wait.
So I know you're very excited for it. And Supergirl comes out later this summer. Millie Alcock was there. Jason Momoa was there. Supergirl star Millie Alcock. She had to learn 5 different languages. Some of them fake. A lot of them are fake. Alien languages in the dialogue and dialect, and she had to learn it and how to emote with it and everything. And she says there's an emotional scene in Krypton. It's all in Kryptonian with her and her father. I'm guessing the scene of Krypton. And it's a favorite of the director Greg Gillespie. And Jason Momoa went out on the motorcycle that Lobo is going to ride in the movie. So cannot wait for that movie. Cannot fucking wait. Wednesday started with Universal Studios. Universal Studios had their panel. A movie, the Snoop Dogg biopic movie was announced. And Jonathan Davis, who is in this Outer Banks, I don't know what that is, but it's going to be an R-rated biopic. It's going to be playing Snoop Dogg. They were both there to announce that. Christopher Nolan went in to talk about the Odyssey, said they created IMAX cameras, brand new cameras to film this movie entirely. And it was a nightmare to make in every best possible way. And he's telling the audience you'll be pleased to know how difficult it was to make because it should have been. And the heart of this movie is Matt Damon, Anne Hathaway, and Tom Holland. He announced that Charlize Theron is going to be playing Calypso. So yeah, this movie is probably hyped up more than a lot of Nolan movies, just because of the cast and the just overall Odyssey is known to be an epic. So yeah, cannot wait to see that this summer or next year. Yeah, this summer. And Violent Night 2. We loved Violent Night 1 with David Harbour.
We did.
Santa, they played a trailer. Santa is barely feeling like Santa Claus anymore. He works at a mall. He loses his powers. He's also on the naughty list now. And Kristen Bell has joined the cast to play Mrs. Claus. MJF, the wrestler, is in this movie too. Cannot wait. He's in the teaser, they said. Cannot wait for that movie. I love the first one. We saw it in the theater. Another movie called Other Mommies starring Jessica Chastain. It's a horror film. Follows a child who is stalked by a monster that looks exactly like her mother. So, yeah. Horror movie. Always under our radar. Usually we find out about it closer to when they come out, but we'll keep an eye on that. One Night Only, Monica Barbaro, Callum Turner. Film follows two people trying to find love in a world where premarital sex is the only legal for one day. Callum Turner, he was in the Fantastic Beasts movie. That's the only thing I've ever seen him in. They played the trailer for Robert Eggers' Werewolf movie with Aaron Taylor Johnson. It's going to be in 4:3 aspect ratio, so full screen. Filmed that way. And it showed, and everybody said it was terrifying. The werewolf looked great, classic werewolf, terrifying the town folks. So cannot wait for that. The big reveal trailer that released online as well was the Robert De Niro, Ben Stiller, and Ariana Grande Fokker-in-law.
Still never seen
comes out
the
on
third.
Thanksgiving. Little Fokker is just okay. Second one's okay too. First one's classic.
First one's great.
So trailer's out now. Looked funny. Ben Stiller is now taking the role of De Niro, kind of protecting his son, who's going to be marrying. Who the son is played by Jimmy Olsen from the new Superman, who was in Sight. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he's a son in the movie. Over 5 minutes of Steven Spielberg's Disclosure Day was played at the end, including a look at the alien itself. This did not leak online, but he revealed the whole third act of Disclosure Day is being kept out of the marketing. And he also was talking on. This is the first time he's ever been to CinemaCon, by the way. So he got a huge round of applause. And he said he hasn't done a Western yet, and that's going to be his next movie. That was the big news of CinemaCon. And finally, on Wednesday night, MGM, Amazon had a panel, and they talked about their upcoming slate. Michael B. Jordan, Adria Adrana, who was just cast in the DC universe. We'll get to that later on. He congratulated her for that. But the movie they're talking about is a remake to Thomas Crown Affair, which is a movie he loved growing up, of course, starring Pierce Brosnan back, was it 90s, late 90s that movie came out?
Yeah, 99,
something like
I think.
That.
98, yeah.
They did a reimagining of that film starring those two and coming out later this year. Cannot wait for that. Love Michael B. He directed it as well. Masters of the Universe had some new popcorn buckets. The cast went on stage. I wanted to bring that up briefly. I'm not sure what to think about that movie. A brand new film, How to Rob a Bank, follows a group of influencers who film how-to videos about robbing banks on YouTube. Nicholas Hoult, Pete Davidson, Zoe Kravitz, all going to star. Comes out September 4th. Your Mother follows a hitman struggling to balance his job with his faith and fatherhood, starring Mahershala Ali, Giancarlo Esposito, John Chu, and Tremel Tillman. great cast. So keep an eye on that. Talked a little bit about Bond there, because Bond is an MGM Amazon movie now. And they talked about they're taking their time to cast James Bond pretty much, and that's where they left it. Talked about Highlander reboot a little bit, showed footage of Henry Cavill facing off against David Bautista's Kurgan, who's going to be the villain. And they ended the panel with Spaceballs. They announced that Spaceballs search for more money. Well, they don't need to name it that anymore because they found the money. A little teaser trailer they posted, and they're actually going to be calling the movie Spaceballs the New One. Not sure if I like the title, but I love Spaceballs, so I'm hoping that doesn't fuck up that whole nostalgia love I have for that movie. But a lot of jokes about the Warner Brothers merger. A couple of scenes of Navi pissing in a urinal while Dark Helmet watches with 3D glasses. Multiple sequel trilogy jabs from Star Wars BB-8 turned into a box. Yogurt has abs. Slice of pizza as baby Pizza the Hut. So yeah, a lot of Star Wars jokes and parodies. So cannot wait for that. And finally, yesterday on Thursday was Paramount Pictures and Disney Plus. Started with Paramount earlier in the afternoon, and we saw Street Fighter. We got brand new posters for that. And we got a brand new trailer, which looks fantastic. Looks just like the video game come to life. Probably one of the better video game looking like video game adaptations I've ever seen. But comes out October 16th. Johnny Depp is going to be stepping into the Ebenezer role for what's his name? The guy that you like, Ty West, for the Christmas Carol. Showed some new looks at that. Showed the first glimpse of Anne McKellen's Ghost of Christmas Past. And they talked about a new upcoming fantasy adaptation for children of Blood and Bone. I hear this is one of those things that everybody's obsessed with, the book. It's going to have a huge all-star cast. Idris Elba, Viola Davis, Cynthia Erivo, Damon Idris, Chiwetel Ejiofor, Amanda Steinberg. I don't know who that is. But yeah, cast is huge. Paramount also announced that the sequel to Mutant Mayhem, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles animated movie done by Seth Rogen, is going to have Krang and Shredder in that sequel. So it's going to be more on the line of what people know about Ninja Turtles.
Yep.
Wasn't a huge fan of that first movie. I know a lot of people loved it.
Yeah, it was all right. I like the soundtrack.
Yeah,
that was the one with the mid-90s like hip-hop soundtrack, right?
Yep, it was.
Yeah, that's what everybody
loved.
It's fucking amazing.
Yep. Brand new announcements for new sequels for World War Z. Never saw the first one. World War Z with Brad Pitt.
It's pretty good.
Star Trek is going to be rebooted with a whole new cast of characters and a new story, separating themselves from that. The directors of Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves are in charge of that. Brand new Transformers movie, brand new G.I. Joe movie, and those are the big reboots coming out. And we got the first look at David Cornsweet, Superman himself, as Mr. Irrelevant. Film follows John Tuggle, who was given the title of Mr. Irrelevant after being the last pick of the last round of the 1983 NFL Draft.
Yes.
This comes out on Christmas Day of this year. He looks unrecognizable
can I just
in the photos.
Say something? I just want to bring this up. Of course, there's a picture of him, the one on the left there, and it says, Cornsweet is irrelevant. And so a certain segment of a certain fan base goes, no kidding, he's irrelevant as long as Henry Cavill's alive.
Okay.
And I'm like, that's what? Anyways, I just wanted to bring that up. It's been quite the CinemaCon. I thought everything was cleared up on my timeline, and then CinemaCon fucked me hard.
I will say CinemaCon was one of the busiest. Coming up with notes for this was one of the busiest times this year.
It's the the podcast. It's the biggest one we've had because there's been no COVID. There's been no strikes. There's been nothing to interfere with releasing stuff.
Yeah.
So it really has been one of the busiest ones. Plus, all these studios are playing catch up from the COVID years. And I mean, Warner Brothers alone announced like fucking 17 movies, which is insane.
Yeah. Yeah. Jackass 5 going to be the final movie. Johnny Knoxville went on stage, announced that the name is going to be Jackass Best and Last. Comes out June 26th in theaters. Call of Duty. They announced a brand new Call of Duty movie coming out on June 30th of 2028. The same day as Dynamic Duo. I did notice that in the notes. And then it's probably going to shift, I'm guessing. I don't know. And at the end of the Paramount panel, Tom Cruise was announced they're going to be doing a sequel to Top Gun Maverick. Producer Jerry Bruckheimer is going to be still involved and everything. CinemaCon ended with Walt Disney Studios last night, bringing in their slate of movies. And the big thing, as far as theaters is concerned, that was announced during CinemaCon was this: because Disney got fucked over by IMAX so much, just because of next year and what's going to happen with Avengers being kind of cut out of IMAX, they came up with their new large format marketing plan, a Marvel IP, and it's called Infinity Vision, named after, of course, Infinity War, Marvel. And it's going to be all for a large format. It's going to be laser projection, premium audio. It's going to be for theaters that are already done, probably more like RPX, not IMAX, but more so in the RPX.
I was going to say, like,
screen.
So do theaters now have to put in these screens?
They do.
Disney,
and there's only seven.
So does Disney?
There's only 75.
Because that's just expensive.
There's only 75 in the country that do it right now.
Okay.
But Sony is the other studio that's on par with Disney on this, because they were also fucked over with IMAX, I think, with Spider-Man.
Yes.
So they're also part of it. They're kind of partnering with them. First off, the Disney panel, they announced a new trailer for Mandalorian Grogu, which comes out next month.
Yep, looks really good.
The trailer looked amazing.
It looks great.
We got a brand new poster.
I told you I saw it before the movie yesterday. It looks really good on the screen,
yeah,
which makes me excited. It doesn't look like a TV movie anymore.
They played like the first 15 minutes of the movie too.
And
they're hunting down the last. They're hunting down the last remnants of the Empire and all of its generals. That's what the movie, I guess, is setting up. So lots of cool Star Wars action. A brand new movie called The Dog Stars. This trailer came out, looks awesome. It's Ridley Scott's new movie, starring Jacob Elordi, Josh Brolin. It looks great. And of course, Ridley Scott. We love Ridley Scott, great director. Comes out August 28th. And The Rock came out, talked about Moana, the new live action reboot, remake, whatever. Talked about that his grandfather was the inspiration for his character Maui. And of course, High Chief Peter Maivia, if you're a wrestling fan. So, want to bring that up. And the night ended with what we were hoping for, except it did not leak online, which sucks because the description of this over 2-minute trailer sounds awesome. But Kevin Feige, the Russos, Robert Downey Jr., and Chris Evans were all there to unveil new footage in the first trailer, supposedly, of Avengers Doomsday. And talked a little bit in the beginning about Avengers Endgame and how it's going to have a theatrical re-release in September. And it's going to include deleted scenes and other surprises that's going to set up Avengers Doomsday. And that comes out in September. And Kevin Feige says that Doomsday is the film that takes place where Endgame left off, but also goes back to where it all began and where it all started with the X-Men movie. We already know that that's going to be a big, huge part of this film, the X-Men versus whatever's going on, the incursions and whatnot. And they did reveal the first trailer, just a couple of scenes that I saw that played on there. They had not shown online yet, but Thor ends up fighting Dr. Doom. He ends up reuniting with Steve at the end of the trailer, Steve Rogers. Professor X is watching an incursion happen above the X Mansion. Mystique turns into Yelena, the Black Widow. Big, huge fight scene with Shang-Chi and Gambit. Fantastic Four meet the MCU heroes, and Dr. Doom has an accent. And he wears a mask throughout the whole entire trailer, except for a couple of scenes where his face is scarred, which is why Dr. Doom wears the mask. Right. He's revealed. He's kneeling when he's first revealed. He's scarred-faced. Thor attacks Doom with Stormbreaker. Doom stops it instantly. I hear that he crushes it. Steve Rogers returns, greets Thor, and summons in order to prove that he's Steve Rogers and not somebody else. He ends up summoning Mjolnir back to him, like he did at the end of Endgame. So that's CinemaCon. A lot of stuff happened, a lot of reveals, a lot more than I thought there would be. That's why I said it was busy the last 4 days. But next big thing we're talking about is probably Comic-Con when it happens in San Diego in July. So a lot of cool reveals, a lot of stuff did not end up online, like the trailer for Doomsday, which I wish it did. But with all of that being said, we still have some news to get to. So let's get into the news. And it's not a news segment, but the trailer roundup. We got a brand new trailer for the new Hunger Games movie, The Sunrise of the Reaping. This is the second quarter quill, which is 50 years after the first Hunger Games. I don't remember how many years it is before Jennifer Lawrence. I think 25. But this is back when Woody Harrelson's character in the first set of Hunger Games movies is a kid, and when he first goes and joins the Hunger Games to be a participant in the Hunger Games. So it's all about that. Cannot wait. I love that series, those series of movies. The last one was pretty good, and I just recently watched it for the first time. So, Eli Roth. They had posters all over CinemaCon about this new movie called The Ice Cream Man. It's a horror movie about this demonic ice cream man that goes through town and gives ice cream to kids, and they all turn demonic. It's about 30-second trailer. It looked pretty fucking cool.
It looks cool.
Eli Roth. Yeah. And they released a trailer for this AI deepfake we talked about a couple weeks ago with Val Kilmer, called As Deep as the Grave, where they brought him back to life. Of course, I talked about it where he signed up for this movie 10 years ago. Then he got cancer. They had to shelve it for a little while. Then once he died, they got the okay from his daughter and his family to use his likeness to recreate an AI and be part of this movie. So that's what we see there. That's him in the movie. So yeah, and also stars Draco Malfoy from Harry Potter, if I remember correctly. Netflix released a brand new trailer for a movie called Ladies First, starring Sacha Baron Cohen, Rosamund Pike. The film follows a man whose life becomes the worst nightmare when he wakes up in a parallel world that's dominated by women, and men are kind of like the feminized version of what women are now. They become the sex bombs and everything else. Comes out May 22nd on Netflix. Keep an eye on that. I do like Sacha Baron Cohen in some things. So, box office last weekend, Super Mario Galaxy movie was for the second week was number 1, 69 million. Project Hail Mary for his fourth week was number 2, and The Drama this second week 8.7 million. Cannot wait to see that movie. So, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. The inductees were announced. The inductees this year are Phil Collins, Billy Idol, Iron Maiden, Joy Division, New Order. I almost said New World Order. Oasis, Sade, Luther Vandross, and Wu-Tang Clan. They ain't nothing to fuck with. So that's going to come out in November. Cannot wait to see all the Wu-Tang Clan members up on the podium. And that induction is going to take probably over an hour to get everybody talking.
Yeah.
So, Disney. New CEO came in and they cut a bunch of jobs on Monday morning. And they, I guess there's a brutal email that went out to the employees. Marvel Studios was hit hard. They laid off their whole entire visual department. And they also laid off their home entertainment department. The most notably DVDs and stuff, which is not a thing anymore, really.
Right.
But so yeah, there's more probably coming. So they're trying to clean house after the new CEO came in and try to clean up some money from losses from the last few years of nobody going to the theaters. But Dave Chappelle hints that he may return to the Dave Chappelle show. If you asked him 6 months ago, he said I probably wouldn't have done it. But now, kind of the way he's thinking is like, yeah, I could come back and do a show right now. I think just political, the atmosphere, political, and everything. He can come back and, I mean, that show. It's one of the best sketch comedy shows I've ever created.
Yeah. It's one of the few I enjoyed.
I would say with Charlie Murphy, now that he's gone, he was such a huge part of what became viral of that show. And now that he's gone, I don't know what's going to take that place. But I would love to see that. I don't know if Comedy Central, I think it'd be
just
better
do a
on
special
HBO nowadays.
Yeah. Just do a special. Just do like a 1 hour special or a 2 hour special.
Or Netflix.
Netflix would be perfect.
I think Comedy Central owns that. I think they own the name, so we'd have to change it to something else yet. Ralph Fiennes says he was asked to return as Lord Voldemort. Asked a while ago, but he says that ship has sailed and he's all for recasting the role. So, and Dexter Resurrection season 2 has just started filming. And that's a picture of them on the left there. Just started filming this week, and they announced that Harry is coming back, James Remire. And they also announced two additional pieces of casting, 3 actually. Dan Stevens, he played the Beast in the new Beauty and the Beast live action. It came out about probably almost a decade ago now.
Yeah,
he's been playing the 5-borough killer. Bokeem Woodbine, who's been in everything. He's a great actor. He's gonna be playing looks like a police captain, and his wife is gonna be played by Nona Parker Johnson, who I've never seen in anything, or daughter. I don't know who that's gonna be. But yeah, cannot wait for that, and we're probably gonna get more casting as the weeks go on. I hope Julia Stiles comes back,
Eventually,
or the girlfriend who abandoned the kid, Harrison, from the last.
That would have to be a
season of Dexter.
flashback because she's dead.
Supposedly, but that could be fake too. Dexter was dead too. Remember?
Yeah, she died of cancer, and Harrison saw it happen. So
is that right? Yeah, I can't remember.
From New Blood, yeah.
Ride Along 3 officially in the works with Ice Cube and Kevin Hart. Ride Along 1, I remember I liked it. Don't remember anything about the second movie. Don't really remember much about the first one. So, okay. A brand new Charlie and the Chocolate Factory movie was announced on Netflix. It's going to be animated, and it seems like it's a sequel to the Charlie Factory movie.
Right.
It's going to be starring Kit Connor and Taika Waititi. And it's about Willy Wonka returning to the chocolate factory after years behind bars for the crimes of turning children into blueberries and all the other stuff that he did.
And
during
the only
Willy
reason
Wonka
why
movie.
they're not doing the elevator movie or whatever the fucking sequel was, the book sequel, is I guess they can never make that because of a clause in the contract with the book. So they're just going to make their own sequel or something like that, right? Yeah, okay.
Yep. Lin-Manuel Miranda, I loved Tick, Tick, Boom. Love that movie. That's his first directorial debut. He's going to be doing another movie called Octet. And it's based off a play, I believe, and he has a huge all-star cast coming in. A lot of them are from Broadway, but Amanda Seyfried is the lead, Rachel Ziegler, Philippa Zoe, who was in Hamilton with him, Gaten Matarazzo, who was in Stranger Things, Jonathan Groff, who was also in Hamilton, and Tremel Tillman, who's awesome in Severance, joined the cast of that movie. Film follows 8 internet-obsessed people who meet in a church basement, lock their phones in a box, and struggle with digital dependency. On paper, sounds boring as fuck, but I love the way he did Tick, Tick, Boom. I love his style, so wait and see. Carl Urban wants to star in a film adaptation of Red Dead Redemption. And when the internet found out, they did a picture of him as the main character of that game. Looks dead on. Looks dead on. I'm all for that. Love him as an actor. Love him as a character actor, especially. So go for it. Coming out, I believe tonight, or was it last? I think it's tonight.
4/16. When's 16?
Yesterday.
They also missed it by about a month. That should have came out on 3/16, but who am I?
Yeah, they're promoting WrestleMania. I understand, but yeah, it should have. But yeah, Stone Cold Steve Austin's gonna be part of Fortnite, supposedly on there now. We love Stone Cold. I love Stone Cold back in the day. The brand new 007 First Light game. It seems that they're going all out for that game, including having a theme song done by Lana Del Rey, and it's going to have a whole opening sequence to this, kind of like the films, where it sets up the game like the movies did, where it's just a long, drawn out title sequence of the game with her song playing in the background. So. Kind of interesting, kind of cool. I don't know what your hype level is on this game. I'm pretty hyped for it. I'm hyped to see how it turns out.
Extremely hyped.
They're putting a lot of work into James Bond, which I didn't think they would be doing in 2026.
The Hitman games are some of my favorite games that have come out in the last 20 years, and it's the same studio, and it's almost too perfect of a matchup for Bond. I can't wait.
I'm bringing this up just for you and I, Kevin, because we both love Billy Mitchell.
Yeah, we do. I gotta get some of his hot sauce. Ricky's.
We do need to get his hot sauce, so we should get him on the show. We should email him and see if we can get him on the show.
Hey, you liked one of my tweets about a year and a half ago.
Okay, we need to direct. That's our goal. Direct message Billy Mitchell. Billy Mitchell, if you've never seen the movie King of Kong, and we talk about it all the time. I think we broke it down on the show before, but it's all about breaking the record for Donkey Kong, and he was kind of like the villain of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got an internet presence. He has a hot sauce. And he's suing somebody over in Australia. He sued a YouTube creator over there. And the YouTube creator is suing him again for defamation of character, because I guess he's been talking shit about him. I don't know. I love Billy Mitchell. I think we're not going to defame him on this podcast.
He's a great antagonist in that movie.
Yeah.
He's not really like that. Like, if you've seen the
he's not like that in interviews.
The somewhat sequel movie, where he's just a character, just at the gaming con or whatever, and he's just like a very cool guy. But they obviously made him like the villain of that King of Kong.
Great movie. If nobody's seen it, go watch it. Hunt it down. It's a great movie. One of the best documentaries ever created. Got brand new posters for Mandalorian and Grogu that came out today. Movie went on sale, I believe, through if you want to watch it, buy tickets digitally. So yeah, the posters look awesome. I kind of cannot wait. This last trailer looks really good. And the cast looks great. And of course, we watched this show. And speaking of that, we do get some new popcorn buckets, of course. We got Grogu popcorn container, Mandalorian helmet cup. We got a at popcorn container. So yeah, they're going all out with Mandalorian. And let's get into some swag.
Swag. Stuff we all get.
Come on, son. You know that's right.
This gigantic library-like Steven Spielberg box set of some of his best movies coming out in Steelbook 4K. And it includes Jaws, Close Encounters, Raiders, E.T., Jurassic Park, Schindler's List, Saving Private Ryan, War of the Worlds. Out of all those movies, War of the Worlds the weakest. It's kind of surprised you put that in the collection, but
it's a good fucking movie, though.
Yeah. I don't know.
It looks like that just shows his range. If you look at the stuff they're doing, it's just kind of a gambit of everything. It's probably one of his favorite movies he's done. It's also a classic store.
It's curated by him.
So it's all that stuff. Yeah.
We got some new pop figures. We got some wrestling pop figures. Speaking of WrestleMania, Mr. Perfect's there. Sheamus, Solo Sikoa. We got AJ Styles jumping off the top rope. We got Freddie Mercury on the right there. Freddie Mercury pop. Speaking of Mandalorian and Grogu, we got some first looks at Mandalorian pop figures. And Lego coming out with a Shrek, Donkey, and Puss in Boots Lego set. Of course, new movie coming out later on. I don't know when that comes out, next summer, I guess. And Spider-Man, setting up Spider-Man brand new day. We got a brand new Spider-Man figure. It's a full-size Spider-Man that you can put together. And also marketing for Spider-Man brand new day came out in Lego set form, including first look of what Hulk is going to be in the movie. People are saying a lot of marketing came out for this movie, and a lot of people are saying that they're naming him Savage Hulk. We'll have to wait and see on that, but we see very first look of Tombstone there on the right, who's going to be a big villain of the movie. So we'll have to wait and see. Daredevil Born Again. One of the second or third episode, somebody found this picture of what looks to be the Watcher looking through a window, and Brad Winterbaum actually confirmed that he's always watching. I'm not sure if he's just kind of tagging along on that or not, that the Watcher's there or not, but would be the second time the Watcher's ever been in the MCU, because he was in one of the post-credit scenes with Stan Lee in the Guardians 2 movie, I think. And speaking of Spider-Man, Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man Season 2 comes out sometime later this year. But the first look of the symbiote, Venom, has leaked online. And if he's part of that series, I cannot wait. Of course, that's one of my favorite Marvel characters. The whole story arc of Spider-Man, of course. Cannot wait for that. Wesley Holloway, a young kid, is joining the cast of Avengers Doomsday. Not sure who he's going to play. He could be playing Captain America's son in this alternate universe. Could be playing an older version of Franklin Richards. Not sure. Also joining the cast officially, Catherine Newton, who played Cassie Lang in Ant-Man Quantumania, is going to be joining the cast of Avengers Doomsday as well. So, DC, going into the DC news of the week, a brand new movie book, from comic to screen, The Art of Supergirl. It's going to be a whole book about making of the Supergirl movie with a lot of art, stills, and stuff, and of course making the comic book too. It looks really, really good. A lot of the art there looks awesome. So, and finally in news, a couple of DC people have joined the casts. First off, Cindy Chandler, who is the daughter of Kyle Chandler, is going to be in Green Lantern, is going to be playing Nosferatu in Creature Commando Season 2. And also, big casting we briefly brought up earlier is Adria Arjona has been cast in Man of Tomorrow. Rumors are Maxima, and that's been the rumor for a while. That's the character that she auditioned for. James Gunn debunked that. Was that last week? He debunked that there was casting for that character.
He debunked the other two names that were mentioned. He didn't technically debunk her. If you look at his words, people take his words out of context. But if you look at like what he says, he debunked the other two that were mentioned.
In the Superman movie, there were code names for other characters in the movie that were used through. Was it Justice? What was the whole code name thing? That characters were codenamed something else, but they were actually cast as bigger characters. I can't remember what it was. It had something to do with Superman. And they're thinking that Maxima could be a code name and she could be actually cast as Wonder Woman, which is what we've been saying for a while.
Right.
There's something to do with Superman. I can't remember what it was. I wish I could remember, but there's casting that was announced for that. They had special code names that didn't end up actually being the characters. It may have been the Justice Gang, now that I think about it, but I can't remember. But she is cast in the MCU. Is a person who is a to Earth and tries to get Superman to fall in love with her, so they can, I guess, rule the Earth. I don't really know the whole story of Maxima.
Right.
She was around in the early 90s, but that's it for news this week. Next week we'll talk about Daredevil episode 7, The Boys episode 4, Euphoria episode 2. Give our reactions to WrestleMania 42. Speaking of that, there's a brand new Hulk Hogan documentary, I believe 4 episodes coming out on the 22nd on Netflix. We'll talk about that, maybe. We'll talk about our Tarantino power rankings. I didn't ask you for them because I knew we just had a loaded show today. I didn't want to bring it up.
Right.
But the big review next week, we're going to go to the theater. I already got our tickets. We're going to be seeing the new Michael movie, and we'll talk about that. As far as reactions, everybody's loving it. No, the review embargo hasn't broken yet, I don't think.
No, definitely not. Probably Monday.
Probably Monday or Tuesday. But we will see it. We'll talk about it next Friday. We are going. Got tickets already. So until then, we'll talk to you next week. Have a good weekend, everybody, and we'll talk to you then.
Peace.
We're the Geek Blurb crew, here to enlighten you. Talking all things geeky, from movies to wrestling to our podcast is the place where you wanna be for all the latest news and nostalgia from the 80s and 90s. We review comic book flicks and sci-fi hits, riding the wave of action movies with all the cool bits. From Iron Man to Star Wars, we cover it all. And when it comes to wrestling, we never drop the ball. Geek Blurb, we're the kings of the nerds, rating movies and pineapples, our opinions never blurred. Join us each week for a geeky chat with the latest scoop and a dose of nostalgia that. So if you're a fan of the comic book craze, or a lover of sci-fi and all its maze, tune in to Geek Blurb, we're here to entertain, bringing you the best in